Hi everyone, this is Ramalinga Prasad Kuppa. Welcome to my channel Pharma World. Today's topic is sampling of pharmaceutical products and input materials. Sampling procedures are very important to evaluate the huge quantities of pharmaceutical products and its input materials. Unless the sampling is done correctly, the quality output is not guaranteed. Let us understand the intricate requirements in this video. This is an extract of the news item of ECA dated September 18th, 2025. What is sampling? Sampling is a technique to take a representative sample of the huge entire lot of the consignment to establish the quality attributes of the entire lot. Sampling is not just a collection of small amounts of the product for evaluation and take a decision for a pass or fail status. The sample must be representative of the lot. That means the quality attributes of the small amount of the product collected should be attributed to the entire lot of the consignment. So, is it not important to know deeper into the subject? The sampling technique should be scientifically designed. Generally, a military standard MIL is adopted for the purpose. Route N plus 1 is one example. The MIL standard also prescribes several options including multiple sampling, normal sampling, tightened sampling, sampling plans, etc. The evaluation of the representative sample by several approved test methods establishes whether the lot passes to specifications or not. The sample thus collected will be evaluated against a set of approved specifications with several analytical techniques to establish the quality attributes and decide whether the product passes or fails to specifications. The sample quantity is also small when compared with the lot size of the entire consignment. Imagine this situation. You are taking a few grams sample for evaluation from a huge lot of few hundred kilos or tons. So, how much care is required to take a representative sample? If the input materials are synthetic, there could be significant consistency in the product because there may be several manufacturing controls to get the uniform consistent product. Imagine a situation where ores like bauxite or hematite or magnetite etc. are sampled. The well-trained geologist sampling professionals will take a few kilos of the samples from a hill of the ore or collieries or mines. Coning and quartering techniques are utilized for getting the best representative sample. Based on the data, it will be decided on the quantity of the iron or aluminum present in that mine. So, based on that, the feasibility studies are carried out. See how important sampling technique is. It is very important step to establish the quality of pharmaceutical products and the necessary inputs for manufacturing. This is obvious. Garbage in is garbage out. If the input is not correctly evaluated, the output will be substandard. So, it is important to understand that sampling is the most critical aspect in the pharmaceutical manufacturing. Who has to sample? There is a general opinion that sampling is a simple collection of a small amount from the entire lot for evaluation, and any untrained lab assistant can perform the collection. Based on the criticality of the sampling procedure, it is now clear that it is not a lab assistant's job to sample a critical pharmaceutical input or the final product. A sampling person should have a comprehensive approach on the entire consignment. The focus should be on the packaging scheme, sealing, labeling, and any variation from the previous supply. The training procedure for sampling person should include these items. It is important to notice if there was any change in the packaging scheme for primary package or secondary package of the product when compared with the earlier supplies. What could be the impact? It could be a favorable impact or adverse impact. The next question is that why it was changed by the supplier. This should be answered by the supplier. It is necessary to check if the sealing was done with a fastener or heat sealed. Next comes the labeling and if any other variations found when compared with the earlier supplies. Statistical evaluation of the data from the previous supplies also be in the knowledge of the person who samples. It is totally a highly sensitive technical job. Depending upon the supply history, the sampling plan might be changed for a specific supplier with scientific reasoning. This point should be understood by the sampling person thoroughly. Let us see the requirements. The person designated for sampling must be trained and approved for sampling. So the person must be technically fit to sample and be approved by a competent authority. EU guideline to good manufacturing practice for medicinal products. Chapter 1 Pharmaceutical Quality System. Section 1.92 prescribes samples of starting materials, packaging materials, intermediate products, bulk products, and finished products are taken by approved personnel and methods. This is the prescription of EU guide to GMP. This guide has elaborate and detailed explanations. We may go through the guideline. There is also a reference in Chapter 2, Principles to receive initial and continuing training, including hygiene instructions relevant to their needs. So, training is not a once-off job. Refresher training is a must when there is a modification or revision to the existing system of sampling procedures. Chapter 6 has very detailed prescription on sampling procedures and necessary training. Chapter 6 of the guideline is also worth reading. Chapter 3 of the EU GMP guideline, part 2, also prescribes that personnel with the necessary qualifications and practical experience must be available for all GMP relevant activities, including sampling, and should receive initial and continuing training. EU GMP Guidelines Part 2 is specifically for APIs. It is almost similar to ICH Q7. It is clear that sampling is a quality critical task requiring not only procedural quality but also continuous qualification of the involved personnel. So it should be understood that sampling is not a small job. It is a totally qualified, trained, evaluated, and approved technical job. The training should be dynamic in nature, keeping updated as and when necessary. Who else can perform sampling? In certain conditions, production personnel can perform sampling under certain specific conditions. Generally, the sampling should be carried out by QC personnel. However, there is a provision for the production personnel to sample provided the following conditions are met. The conditions are documented training and qualification. The training should be carried out by designated QA or QC personnel and recorded as objective evidence. The training evaluation also should be carried out and documented. Clear and detailed SOPs. The SOPs must be clear in the exact procedure within GMP and responsibilities while sampling by the production personnel. Independence and segregation of duties. The guideline prescribes that in certain situations, independence from the production may be required to avoid bias or conflict of interest. Quality oversight. The guideline prescribes also that even if the production staff can conduct the sampling, the quality unit, that is QA and QC, retains the responsibility for ensuring the process is controlled, the samples are representative, and the data are reliable. Other important points. The quality of the final product totally depends on the proper evaluation of the proper representative sample of the input materials as well as the final product. This is the core requirement for achieving a quality product. So, sampling takes a very important critical role in pharmaceutical manufacturing. The focus must be on the extensive and adequate training to the personnel designated for sampling. A risk assessment may be performed on the sampling procedure depending upon the supplier capability or capacity and the supply history of the materials. ICHQ9 will help in designing the sampling procedures and plans. Depending upon the supply history, the sampling plans may be drawn for specific suppliers. For example, if more than 90% of the suppliers of the supplier meet the expected specifications without any failure or any out of trend results in the data generated, reduced testing plan may be suitable. This would reduce the manpower utilization also. All these aspects must be captured in the detailed risk assessment report. I hope that the importance of sampling in pharmaceutical manufacturing is understood well. Check if your sampling procedures and plans have such plans and as explained so far. Thanks for watching. For more videos, please do subscribe, like and share. Also, please leave a message in the comments box for any further support. Thank you.